So there is somewhat of a theme when it comes to the contracts that were signed with these free agents. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about finally getting information on Liam Eichenberg's contract. I'm not happy with it. And 3, we're going to talk about Tua Tagovailoa's contract. So there's a lot. Stick around. What is up, Finn fans? Got a bunch to talk about today. Going to talk a little bit about what I've noticed with the contracts. I think I've talked about this a few times this past week, but I'm going to go a little further into detail. I kind of hinted on it yesterday. I'm also going to talk about Liam Eichenberg. I can't even butchering his name. Contract Tua. Real quick though, behind me, you might be asking yourself, wait, where's the DDW sign? First off, I got this awesome sign from FOCO. If you want to grab it, FOCO. They also do the Lego Stadium and stuff. I got this sign. Super cool. You can like make it brighter, lower. Really love this sign. I'm going to move it around because I finally have saved up enough to buy the DDW, drumroll please, neon sign. I think that's pretty badass, if you ask me. This is going to be pretty nice hanging up on that wall. I finally saved up to get it, thanks to you guys, thanks to me being a penny pincher. And that Mamma Jamma is going to be on the wall somewhere behind me. I'm going to clean up a little bit behind me as well. I'm also still working on the ceiling and all that stuff, so I'm getting ready for the new football season, but got a lot going on. So let's first and foremost talk about Liam Eichenberg's contract breakdown. Now, this is what his contract looks like. It is a $2.0506, if you want to round up, $1 million base salary contract. His cap hit number is $1.3 million. The dead money pre-June 1st cut is $2.25. A post-June 1st trade, they save $1.17. It's a $167,000. So if they somehow during training camp or whatever trade him, which who are you going to trade him to? They save money. You know, it's not that, but you know, a post-June 1st cut. So it's kind of a guaranteed contract unless somehow they trade him, right? So it's a 1-year, $2.2 million contract. And that kind of bothers me. And it bothers me because that means he's going to be on the team. And I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope and I pray and I hope and I pray. And one more time, I hope and I pray and I pray and I hope that what I'm about to say to you does not happen. But I have a bad feeling in my gut that he's going to start week 1. And why do I think that? Let's go back and look at this right here. Right here. I don't know if you could see it, but it says contract ranking 19th out of 66 at center. And I think at guard, let me give you the numbers at guard. It's high up there, the amount he's getting paid. And it just really worries the crap out of me. 29th highest at left guard. 23rd highest at right guard. 19th highest at center. I hope I'm wrong. I hope and I pray I'm wrong. But I have a bad feeling he's going to be starting at left guard when the season starts. I don't think that's their idea. I don't think that's what they want to do. I don't know. But they brought him back. They're giving him a $2.2 whatever million contract. The only way they can get out of that contract is if they trade him after June 1st. And why would you bring him back with such a contract? And you could say, oh, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. They wouldn't do that because, they have to. I've had people say to me, they have to be able to see these things and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Last year, they had him share snaps, not even like they benched him. They had him share snaps with Isaiah Wynn. When Isaiah Wynn was in, obvious better guard, but they still rotated him. So that is the whole kit and caboodle when it comes to Liam Eichenberg. So we'll see how that all pans out. The thing I want to talk about is this. You look at what the Miami Dolphins have done when it comes to free agency. And these are the free agents we have brought in or brought back. And you see like James Daniels, Terrell Dotson, Nick Westbrook, 2 years, 2 years, 3 years, right? And everyone else is getting a 1 year contract. Nobody has any money guaranteed to them after this year. Look at James Daniels. Talked about this before. It's a 3-year deal, but no guaranteed money after 2025. They can cut him and get all that money back. Now, if he's on the team, then you get a little bit of dead cap in 2027, but they have no dead cap in 2026 on him. You also have Nick Westbrook. Again, you cut him, minimal, right? Minimal, not fully guaranteed. 1.6, you save 1.59. I expect him to be on the team in 2026. Again, unless the new regime, if there is one, doesn't like what he can do. And it's a $1.6 million cap hit. Next year, it's a 3.19. If he has 9 touchdowns like he did last year, I don't see why he wouldn't stay. And then the other one is Terrell Dotson. I like the signing of Terrell Dotson, but again, you cut him. Look at that minimal dead cap. Minimal dead cap. And what I'm noticing, and I started thinking about this last night, and I've been mentioning it and hinting it and dropping it throughout my videos, and I even did it yesterday in the short that I put up. And I was thinking about this whole situation, and I honestly think that this could be a situation where Stephen Ross might have stepped in and been like, look, you have to stay inside these parameters, right? I'll bring you back. I think you can turn this around. I like this and that about you, whatever he says to whoever, I like this, I like that, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But you have to stay within these parameters. And you can't go hog wild. You can't do X, Y, and Z. You have to stay in these parameters. Because I honestly think, looking at the contracts of these free agents, one, they're young, right? So it's like, you look at like a lot of guys, like even Willie Gay Jr., he's like 27, right? 26, 27. The oldest guy we signed, I think one of them is over the age of 28. Outside of that, they're all young. They're all very young. And there's no future. Now, there's a future in the talent. There's a future in how well these guys play, but there's no future in the contracts. And I think that is extremely telling for what the situation is with the head coach and the GM, is that there's no future. Not saying that they're going to get fired regardless of what happens, because if that's the case, it's dumb to even keep them on. But there's no future because it's an unknown. It's a big, fat unknown. We don't know what's going to happen with Mike McDaniel. We don't know what's going to happen with Chris Grier. And another reason why that is kind of telling is, by this point, you're going to tell me having 2 fourths and 2 fifths and 3 sevenths that, Chris Grier's not going to trade for somebody, not going to throw one of those fourths or one of those fifths or one of those sevenths at somebody for some type of up and coming player, a Michael Mayer type, or, you're going to tell me that the Chris Grier who's consistently traded for these players isn't going to do it. Like, he's going to sit pat with these picks and not give out these contracts to guys like the Tevin Jenkins, who just signed with the Cleveland Browns. Side note, I thought he already signed with somebody, but apparently no, because yesterday he signed with the Cleveland Browns. Nobody has gotten a contract where there's a guarantee he'll be on the team in 2026. Nobody. Now you could say that's just smart contracts because, we brought in guys like Melifanu, who's been banged up, or James Daniels coming off an Achilles, or any of these guys who you don't know how good they're going to be. So you're not pigeonholing yourself with these players. But also, like I said, it really shows that there's a big fat unknown with the front office and the coaching staff. Because I honestly think that if they start out 2-6 again, someone's getting fired. Now, would it be Chris Grier? I don't know. I think it would probably be like a Jet situation where it'd probably be the head coach first and then it'll be the GM. And again, there is those rumblings that happened this past offseason where Chris Grier's not going to get fired. He's going to get promoted to some type of different situation in the front office, yada, yada. I hope not. You need fresh eyes and you need to have a GM come in who doesn't have somebody breathing down their neck. And again, I might be getting ahead of myself, and I obviously am getting ahead of myself talking about them getting fired, this, and that. But I'm just letting the ideas come from here to you guys, and I'm letting you make the decisions. Some people think I've been very pessimistic of late, and I've addressed this in a previous video. I'm preparing myself for the worst, right? Another little example of something that I find interesting, right? So Austin Jackson, they restructured his contract. You looking at Tua Tagovailoa, right? You could restructure him and get 19 million, right? Because I think as of now we're at 17 million. I tend to go with over the cap because they're kind of up to date. We're at 17.962. Because then if you go over here and you go, we're probably at like 15. We're at 7. So the extra 10 million, I honestly think it came from the Austin Jackson move. But you look at Tua. Come in here, you want to move on from him. You do a trade, you save 11.2. You do a post-June 1st trade, you save 43 million. Now, you're still dealing with dead cap. You're never going to get away from the dead cap. 45.2, you're looking at 45.2. You're never running away from that 45.2. Also, you're not cutting him. You're never cutting him. You will trade him. Whether it's for 7th, whether it's for 6th, whether it's for a 5th, whether, you're going to have to trade to it to clear up that contract. But you are never going to avoid that 45.2 because it's still here. It's just spread out. So that's probably your best possibility, kind of like what the Falcons are doing with Kirk Cousins. You're just probably going to wait and see and save a lot more in 43 million. Or you can find someone straight up and save 11.2 million. But again, we'll talk about it next season if it does happen. I hope it doesn't. I hope Tua comes out. I hope he balls. I hope the Miami Dolphins go on a tear. I hope they finally win a playoff game. Like, honestly, I'm sitting here talking about all these things. It's just something I'm noticing. But down in my heart, I'm hoping that they win a playoff game. Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel show, hey, we can do what we need to do. Tua comes out and shows, hey, I am a franchise quarterback. And we continue to build towards something. I hope and pray that happens. But from what I'm seeing, these contracts are showing that the owner and even the GM is like, we don't know what the future entails. Also, they have not touched Tua's contract. They're like, we're going to ride with that 39 million. And that 56.4, we'll see what happens next year. Because again, they trade them, they save money. So looking at these contracts, it's making me think. It's really making me think that this is interesting. Incredibly interesting. There's something Chris Kaufman said, right? He goes, if you think you're going to have, this is back to Liam real quick. If you think you're going to have to accept the re-signing of Liam Eichenberg was addressing the position, they view him as a starter. Maybe not an ideal starter, hence they're still hunting for jewels in the draft, but they certainly don't agree with your premise. So again, you're going to mentally prepare yourself. But it's just something that I'm noticing while watching the Dolphins work and do their thing. And you probably will even see that the Dolphins won't trade up. There's things they're going to do in this draft that are probably going to even fortify my thought process. They won't trade up, because trading up will include trading next year's draft picks. They won't draft a quarterback, because drafting a quarterback would have to deal with investing in the future with said quarterback. They will trade down, build picks for the next year, because, hey, if they're here, they're here. If not, help the next guy out. And they'll take players with that will hopefully have an instant impact. Now, I want Jahad Campbell, but, going off of my idea of what the Dolphins are doing, they probably won't, because he's dealing with that. I think he had a torn pec, or he hurt his shoulder after the combine. Now, that's not as much of a draft killer or a stock killer as it would have been if it was an ACL, MCL, PCL, Achilles, hammy, whatever, groin, anything from the waist down, where, your shoulders and everything, as a linebacker, it's more about tackling and, other stuff, which you don't really got to worry about. The legs are where it's more important. So, I'm going to do videos on the draft. Like I said, come Monday, we're going to flip over to the draft. We're going to start looking at prospects. I'm going to look at best and worst scenarios. We're going to go back 3 years and kind of look at the draft and grade it. All these things, even redraft it. A lot of draft stuff come Monday. But again, you're going to probably start to see a trend. And the trend is, there's a big fat question mark on the future of not the owner, but the GM and the head coach. Big fat, and even the quarterback. Those three will always and forever be intertwined. Chris Grier and Brian Flores drafted Tua. As much as you want to hear or think or whatever, if Brian Flores didn't want Tua, it wouldn't have happened. Like, you just got to use your brain on that one. There's no way on God's green earth, if Brian Flores didn't want Tua, it wouldn't have happened. Not saying he was 100% like, let's get the man. But if he adamantly was like, Tua is not the guy, they wouldn't have drafted him. He definitely agreed on the pick. Got fired. Mike McDaniel was brought in to fix Tua. So he is connected with Tua as well. You're always connected to your quarterback. That's again why if he did not want to draft him, they would not have drafted him, because you are connected to your quarterback. So those three are going to be something you're going to notice. Keep an eye out. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll come on here and I'll admit I'm wrong. If they sign somebody to a 4-year contract that has 2 years of guaranteed money, blah, blah, blah. If they restructured Tua's contract, I'll come on here and be like, well, I was wrong. They're going to be pigeonholed for this, this, and that. If they touch Tyreek's money, or if they touch Jalen Ramsey's money, I'm going to be surprised. Where I won't be surprised is if they give Sealer, Brooks, Brewer contract extensions. Those are the next things they should do to clear cap space, is give those three players contract extensions, because they deserved it and they should be on the team going forward. That's again a situation where you could put that in the same parameter as trading back in the draft, because they are good enough for the future. Comment below. Do I have a tinfoil hat on, or do you kind of see the same thing? Let me know what you guys think. I will see you tomorrow if there's breaking news. If not, definitely Monday. We're going to start draft. But like usual, stay classy. If ends up.